Florida spring intel. Zach Albalverdi and the team just crushing it over there at Gators Online. I'm always really curious with the situation that a school like Florida is in to hear about the vibes around the program, because the way they finished the year was really intriguing because they finished so strong, but before that it was, is Billy Napier even going to be the guy? There was a lot there with Florida. And right now the feeling at Florida is last year was nice, but forget all the conversation around our schedule. Like, we think we have a roster now where, yes, we have a tough schedule, but like, y'all are going to have to deal with us too. Like, you're going to have to walk out there on a Saturday and see our roster. Because when Billy Napier got there, Florida, from what I've heard from people close to that program, they were operating at a bit of a deficit. Now, I don't know if Florida now is operating at a lead within the SEC from a talent perspective, but they're definitely not at a deficit. They're in a good spot now. Now, they're dealing with a lot of injuries, most notably DJ Lagway, being really careful with him this spring, not really throwing the football as of right now. Shoulder dinged up, lower body dinged up. And this is a huge bummer for spring practice. I mean, anytime you don't have your starting quarterback, it's tough, but it's extra disappointing if you're a Florida fan because you're keeping your ear close to the ground over on the Florida On3 message boards at Gator Online, and you're wanting to hear about how the offense is ramping up because there's so much around him on this offense to get excited about. 4 of the 5 starters back on the offensive line. The running back room, you know what that's going to be. The most interesting piece of intel that I've heard so far out of Florida spring practice is they feel really good about their wide receiver room. So good, in fact, that what I have been told is they don't think they're probably going to go to the transfer portal post-spring practice to go get another weapon, which before putting my ear close to the ground on spring practice, I would have thought the exact opposite. I would have thought they would try to go add another proven commodity. Very sneaky portal addition for them was a one J. Michael Sturdivant, big body wide receiver from UCLA, basically was a top 100 transfer portal guy when he jumped in there. Worth noting, Florida beat out Georgia to land his services. This is a dude who's right around 6'3". It's now bulked up to 218. And when you track the practice miles per hour these guys are putting in, clocked in at 23 miles per hour. So if you believe in the practice reports, which we do on this show, even if he's not touching that during a game, to have that in the tank for a dude that size, that's filthy. That's absolutely filthy. On top of that, they feel like they hit with all 3 of these true freshman receivers. They think all 3 of them are going to play. Dallas Wilson was the guy that they essentially flipped from Oregon. I've been told he does not look like a true freshman at all. Big body, I want to say he's right around 6'2", 6'3", 205 pounds-ish. Vernell Brown was bulked up to 180. He's going to be a beast for them in the slot. And then Nashawn Montgomery has been a tremendous, surprise for the Florida fan base in some sense with the noise that he's making so far throughout spring practice. What I've been told is when all 3 of those cats are on the field, the entire building stops and watches. When they're all in the game together, and they're not probably all going to start, but they'll have a certain role. When they're all in there, they demand the attention of the practice field. Good things to hear right now so far through a few practices. Now, you take all those guys I just mentioned, and you add on to that you have Eugene Wilson, who's just rolling through right now in a non-contact jersey. Interesting note on him, he is going to be playing in the slot this year. Now, the reason why it's important, last year he was playing more of that Z position for them, which is more of an outside receiver, which is great. And Eugene Wilson ate greedy all year long. There's nothing negative to say about him. But with how twitchy he is and how much of a problem he can be from a matchup perspective with a nickel or a safety or a linebacker, I think he's going to have a huge season in 2025. I truly do. He's also beefed up a little bit to maybe protect himself and stay a little bit more healthy. So Eugene Wilson, probably going to be the go-to guy for you, paired with the Sturdivant, paired with those 3 freshmen. Don't look now. Billy Napier, man, he's very quietly, I think, been one of the best evaluators in the SEC, whether it's the transfer portal, whether it's the high school level. They've had some hits now, like Shamir Dike, Elijah Badger, both transfer receivers a season ago that got to Florida. Shamir Dike just tore up the NFL Combine not but a few weeks ago. That was a guy that came over from Wisconsin without a ton of fanfare. So just because you haven't heard of J. Michael Sturdivant all that much before this season, they feel great about him, feel great about these freshman additions, and then you pair with that the proven commodity that is a Eugene Wilson, and they feel like they're in a good spot right now when it comes to the wide receiver room. Now defensively, Cormani McClain has had a breakout offseason. We'll see what that looks like for him when he gets to the fall in terms of his role, getting some more burn because of injuries, but he's added 20 pounds since he got to Florida, and this is most important, he's bought in to what he needs to do to be successful at Florida. He gets to Florida, not on scholarship. He now is on scholarship, and he's been a guy that they've been very impressed with so far with in terms of how he's now carrying out his business, which wasn't always the case when he first got there. Late to meetings, not handling what he's supposed to do, and now Cormani McClain sounds like is doing a lot of those things. Jaden Woods is a freshman edge that is making the most buzz this spring. Not going to start, it sounds like, for Florida at this point in time, but he's definitely going to play kind of that jack position, which is essentially outside linebacker edge position for the Gators. There's a honor that Florida gives out to their guys during winter workouts. It's called the black jersey. And essentially all that is hey, you are operating and preparing and working out at the standard that we hold ourselves to here at Florida. And the two freshmen that were the first to get those black jerseys were a Jaden Woods, who I mentioned, and then also a Vernell Brown, who we've also mentioned. So they feel good about where they're at right now when it comes to how they have attacked the high school level of recruiting and what they've gotten so far through some practice from those guys. So, yeah, some injuries. You're not thrilled about that, but Florida's not worried about it. Florida feels like they're in a really good spot here to make some noise in 2025 and pick up where they left off. Would you love if DJ Lagway was able to be full go right now? Of course, but even with that not being the case just yet, they are really encouraged with all they've seen so far during spring. And you should be, man. It's spring practice. Gosh dang it. Can't get fired up for spring practice. We can't help you. We can't help you. Nay, we won't help you if you can't get fired up for spring practice.